Okay, ready? All right, so let's bring the meeting to order and start with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Armstrong,
Excused.
Fallon. Here. Farrell. Here. Happy.
Excused.
Miller.
Here.
Wood. Here. Bramblett.
Here. Additions or amendments? There are no changes. Option of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adopt the consent agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, it's moved to the consent agenda, which is the approval of the June 13th, 2022 City Council amendments, approval of June 6th, 2022 City and Port Joint Work Section minutes, and ratification of the bills in the amount of $115,321.66. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing. Action items, appointment to committees. Approve resolution number 1476, declaring the city's election to receive the state revenue.
This is the paperwork that is required in order for us to receive the state revenue sharing from both alcohol, marijuana, all of those revenues that the state shares with us, collects us, and shares with us.
So we got a motion?
I have a question. Can I have a question?
Sure.
Was resolution number 1476, is that where we allocated where the money could go, or which one was that? Can you remind
No,
me?
this is just the city's agrees to
do
receive
it,
the state
okay.
revenue sharing.
Okay.
So do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve resolution number 1476.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Approve number 1436, resolution declaring the city's election to receive state revenue. Discussion. I would just say that, because it talks about in here that you have to allow the public to have input. And it also mentions in here that the public was given. So even though we don't have a public hearing that I hear on, the public was given an opportunity to come in on this.
Yeah, we did that during the budget meeting. During the budget meeting, we had that
Yeah.
public hearing.
But, and you had it in there.
During the budget.
During the budget committee.
Okay, okay.
That's what we have it.
Well, I figured they were all possible, because they're later one year tonight too. Because tonight's we're passing. But anyway, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Approve resolution number 1475, adopting the 2022-2023 municipal budget. Major corporations authorizing expenditures and levy taxes in the amount of $22,671,049.
Yeah,
Works down.
so I do have some questions on that. Actually, I have several handouts. For the council. I was hoping that Marianne would be here so she can maybe answer these questions, but, sorry.
I think she's online.
Okay, so, well, I think it's gonna be a little bit more intense than online, so.
Okay.
Here. I noticed before budget, and I called Marianne about it, and she assured me that we would get an explanation, but usually in the budget, when you put things in the budget, they stay on the budget line for 4 years until they fall off the cliff. There are a couple things that happened last year that just fell off the cliff. And
Before they made it 4 years.
before they made it 4 years, so, it, is curious. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah, welcome, thank you.
I don't know, I'll explain it here in a second when I sit down. So on the, we'll do the one with, that has the blue on it, that has to do with the, general fund. And last year we had a line item for the CARES COVID Act, the CARES funds that the city received, which I understand is a weird, unusual thing, but it was money that the city received. That was on the line item last year and it disappeared this year. You can see the top was last year and the bottom is this year and it's gone. So I'm not accusing that there's something that was done nefariously. It's just very odd to see a line item drop off without explanation, even if it was moved around. I was told it was moved to the general fund, but even still, to me, it would be prudent for the council to know that that money was received and where that money went. So there should be a line item coming in and some line items going out as to where they were paid. So that just kind of fell off the ways. And then on the green one, which is another weird circumstance, was for Cascade locks. Last year we had the line item for $156,160. I understand that there was negotiation that we didn't quite get all of this. This is from a past debt that the port was supposed to pay, but then ended up only paying. Gordon probably knows a little bit more about this. But then that line item just completely fell off. It's completely missing from this year's budget. So this is very unusual. Please don't think that I sit and I read from line item to line item. It's just the only reason I noticed was because they were highlighted last year. They were very, this has been an ongoing debt that the port had to pay. And I always highlight things so that I can look at it in the budget the next year, and it was gone. It was just completely gone. So
These are good questions.
so yeah.
So let me, I don't know the answers completely, but on the 156,000, the port did pay that, but that went into our grant fund. And so we'll have to verify that that's where it went to.
Okay, but irregardless, there should have been an explanation in the budget to say that it was moved to
Yeah,
another
but
place.
I agree with you, but again, like you said, there's nothing nefarious on it.
That's not my accusation. It's
I
just
know.
that, yeah, it's
Okay.
just that I'm a numbers nut, and it's just very odd. I've never seen this in the 20 years that I've probably been doing this.
On the CARES COVID money, the 40,000 was the grants that we passed out to the businesses. That's the actual 40,000 that was there. And you're right, it should have been reflected in this year's budget. I don't know why it wasn't.
I mean, it's just because grants, we always put grants in, whether we get them or not, what we think we're gonna get them, and so there should be incoming and outgoing as far as, that's the way checkbooks work.
Okay.
Okay, and then, this is just for your information. It's very hard to pull all this information together. It's not anything that needs to have a decision made on it, but it's just for your information on the peers and health insurance benefits, so that you can just see, because they're spread out through the budget in very grand style, and it's very hard to put together. And since I've been doing this for a while, that's what I did, just for future discussions for you guys. And I mean, this is like nothing that should hold up the budget, of course, tonight, but they're questions that should be answered.
Are you saying that?
Not for the PERS, but these other two issues where they fell off of the budget. That's just for you to look at later. If you have any questions, you can ask me on that. So, sorry. That's convoluted. You
No,
can
no,
look at
appreciate
that. You can look
I
at that
appreciate
later.
that.
But these two issues, this is just kind of.
And I'm assuming the PERS and health insurance.
It's just so.
I know that's your argument every year.
It's been my argument every year, but
Right.
And it's very hard for people who are new to budget and new to council to see it because it's spread out. It's just exploded throughout the budget and it's very hard to pull together. And when you see the actual numbers all pulled together,
Right.
they're pretty stunning.
It's
So,
really helpful,
yeah.
because they are kind of spread
And there's
out.
something else, you know, as you being a budget council person too, is you might go look all the service contracts that we have, because those are really employees of the city per contract. So, I mean, and I understand there's a cost to doing business, but you might just see how much you're spending on all these different contracts as well, besides just your employees and their benefits.
Mhm.
I
It's a
mean,
good point.
$11 million for a town of 1,100 people, 1,200 people, that's huge. And this year, 22 million just for anticipated grants. That's a lot of money for a little town. So.
So, is there anything as far as in passing this budget that we can, put back into it to reflect these two things?
No, not without investigating it.
No,
If it's required to put it back in, then we'll have to bring you a resolution that puts it back in. Which can be done.
Yeah.
It's-
I don't anticipate for it to stop the budget process. I just want the council to be aware. And the reason I didn't bring it up with budget, because I was told I would be given answers. And I understand it's a complicated process, but with Marion going out and the new guy coming in, there's gonna be this
Right.
Makes sense.
misconnection. of
Are
information.
you good with the answers?
I-
I mean, Gordon tried to get like part of it explained.
Well, it's up to the council. It would be up to the council to find the answers. I mean, and it would be good for the budget people to also be brought up to date about it as well. So, I mean,
Okay.
it's your guys' job. I'm just making you aware that there was a quirky sort of thing that happened a couple times this year.
I do think it's important to see it reflected and added in.
And is this the time that we would ask questions if the council has questions on the budget? That's what, because that's what.
Well, usually it's best for somebody to do a motion. If the motion doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. But if you do the motion, then you have a discussion. But you're fine that, yeah, if you want to ask some questions.
Because I had asked questions at budget as well about the 10% pay raises that were given. I don't know if all council members were asked. I know that I never gave it like a seal of approval or anything. So I wanted to know how that became in the budget. And that was why I asked the question in the budget, is because of that. So I don't know if selected council members made that decision or what, but I know.
Here's the answer. I sent out a letter to each of you asking for your information and input. And we looked at how can we attract employees? And how can we honor the employees that stuck with us through the COVID? Last year, the consumer price index went up 8.1%. If you give them 8.1%, they rate the employees stay static. And so I said, I'm putting 10% in to thank the employees who stayed and to attract those employees who we need to replace. It does not impact the collective bargaining agreement with the electric union.
Right.
It's only all of the other employees. And I talked to several of you, and I got the votes back from several of you, and I just felt like we need to do this. You gave kind of tacit approval when we moved the utility one worker up to $18 an hour, which was more like a 20% increase. It's because we're trying to attract somebody to come, and quite frankly, it hasn't worked. You increased the salary for the city administrator, trying to attract somebody after it didn't come in, and that went up from 90 to 110, 80 to 90, 90 to 110, so that was 10%. So in fairness, I tried to make it so that we could reward the employees who stayed and attract new employees to come. That's why I put it in the budget. And we were able to do it without having any rate increases to cover it.
I just find it awful. Oh, I don't even know the proper language to say it in, but I didn't receive the letter. I didn't respond back, because I felt like it was.
I gave each of you a letter and
Mhm.
canceled me.
Yeah,
I handed it out.
Yeah. and then when you got so many, then you felt that it was okay to go ahead and proceed, once you got the majority.
I got some direction and I felt to do it. Now,
Okay.
the difference between the 7.1%, which was the low, and the 10%, the total difference to the budget is $16,000. That's all.
Can I say something on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been on both sides, I've been voting on both sides of the aisle here, and it is a double-edged sword. It's always at the perusal of the city administrator to set what he would like to see for the pay increases. It is up to the council to decide how much of that increase is, but the argument will come at you that, well, it's been voted in on the budget, so it's kind of giving you the impetus that it's already been approved for the 10%, but it's still your decision as the council as to how much of the raise that they get. So, I mean, because they would say, well, when we were at budget, they would tell us, well, it's up to the council to decide how much of it it gets, but then when it went to the council, they would say, well, that it was approved by the budget. So it's a frustrating little conundrum that you have around the pay increases for the employees.
Yeah, and I understand that our economy and all that, the inflation and all that. I know people that are on a fixed income received only 8%. Most people didn't receive anything. And, and I don't think with the benefits that we have a heck of a benefit package. I don't know that 10% should be the pay raises.
What would you
And I
suggest?
can't say that, and I don't even know that it should be like 10% across the board. We don't do merit things or anything like that. Are we
actually-
dropping the ball?
No, we actually do. There are some people, well, it's the position is approved at 10%, may not get it. That depends on their supervisor and their performance evaluations. We have done that in the past, but again, I tried to keep similar positions at similar pay level. And so that's always the conundrum. How do you do that? And again, I just felt like our employees did a great job for us through this COVID. And I gotta keep them happy, or if they're not happy, then they'll leave. And if they leave, I mean, look, we lost Sebastian, and we've gotten one application from a homeless guy who has no background for the last 15 years. And the Gen Zers, bless their hearts, are looking for money. That's all they're looking for.
So I have a question on the 10%. So was it management? It was like you, Mary Ann, or who?
Everybody.
Everybody
across the
across the
board.
board got 10%?
Everybody, the budget has 10% in for all the positions.
Other than the town,
Other than the.
because they're under contract.
And theirs was like 5.44%.
Because I kind of remember last year, it seemed like there was a big, how much was it last year?
It was up to 5%.
5%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's tough. This year, I mean, wages have exploded everywhere.
Mhm.
They really have. And it's tough. I know we gotta keep up with it.
Yeah. So are you asserting that if they vote on the budget tonight, they're voting for the 10% increase? That will,
That is in the budget, doesn't necessarily mean that each employee will get it. It depends on their performance evaluation.
okay, but it used to be in the past that you would come to the council and ask for the pay raise for the employees after the budget at some point.
Yeah, last 8 years, I always do it for the budget.
He's done it before.
And this time, what I did before the budget was, I wrote them a letter, I laid out what my conundrum is, and I had responses back, and then based on those responses, I put the 10%.
Okay, because when I was on council, it was done way differently, that you would vote for the budget and then later on the city administrator would come to you and request those funds, and then that's when we would get the, well, it's been voted on in the budget.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, this year, I did
Yeah.
try to reach out and ask the councils what they felt like. And again, the issue we had was 8.1% just for 2021, we had 8.1% increase in the consumer price index, which we have been our kind of our yardstick for the last 9 years I've been here, trying to match so that people don't get behind. It's been my experience doing this, that if for example, just for our numbers, if inflation was 10% and we gave everybody a 5% pay raise, I'd be losing a lot of employees the next year. Because they're gonna go try and find someplace better to work. Granted, we got good health insurance. Granted, we got, the PERS retirement. PERS retirement for new employees is not as good as PERS retirement for the tier 1. And the tier 1 people, with Marianne and me going and doing and what we're finding at talking with my Oregon Municipal Electric Utilities personnel, we're paying round numbers $50 an hour for linemen with the benefits. And they're not coming. They're going to someplace where they can earn $60 an hour plus overtime, but no benefits. It's all about the money. And that seems to be the pervasive driver now for employment. There was an article in the Oregon News today that said Gen Zers, the 16 to 26-year-olds, they don't care if they go to work someplace for 3 months, 4 months, and then leave. They're talking about 4-day work week. How long do you work 4 days? And you can't run a business kind of like, I mean, if you try to run lots of treats, and we have an employee that's coming in 4 days, then you're gonna need more employees because you've got more days to cover. And so it was a balancing act. It was an effort to again, reward the employees that stayed and that are good for us. And then the difference between 7.1% raise for everybody and a 10% raise for everybody, including the IBEW 5.44%. At 10%, that's a total increase of $84,907, and 7.1% is $68,124, a difference of $16,000. $16,000 on a $22 million budget without increasing rates. That was a pretty good deal.
It's actually $11 million budget.
Well, that's the nature of.
I know, but if you take all
But
that.
16 grand on $1 million.
Yeah,
11 million.
but 11 million, 8 million of that is a wastewater project, which we'll be paying for the next 40 years. And you can't avoid that.
So when is the union contract up for negotiation? again?
2025.
And if any of you are still on council, I strongly recommend that the city administrator not be the one to negotiate that.
That's a bad idea.
Because when you benefit from the
That, yes, that is correct.
Well, that's.
But yes,
For that.
but who are you gonna have negotiate?
I don't know, it just seems like a conflict of interest to me.
You should have a shop steward, the lineman should have a shop steward.
No, you deal with the union rep. We don't go IBW reps.
Oh, yeah.
That's who
You're
you
talking about
negotiate.
somebody representing us,
Yeah.
not the line.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that's a discussion for later.
but yeah.
I'm heading here for water.
Anyway, I'm not against people making money and all that, but I guess how it was done, how it was brought to the budget is what I have a problem with, because once you got a minority, you went with the 10%. Height, no one said, hey, Brenda, you didn't respond, did you want to put your input in? And that's where it kind of rubbed me wrong as a council member. So just so we're all on up and up.
Perhaps next time we could just do it in an executive session.
That's why I felt like it was a little under the table, for lack of a better term, is because we didn't pull an executive session, we didn't do anything, we slid letters in and then we went with it.
You can't do
I don't
it.
think you can.
Anything, a work session,
You can't,
because then you'll have,
yeah.
Yeah,
It-
that's not executive session.
It's a difficult tightrope to walk.
I get it. It's kind of the same that, yeah, I won't even go there, but yeah, so that's my input on it. That's why I think it's a lot. And I also didn't like the way it came about.
But that's exactly what a council is about. Because it's about everybody has to think that. It doesn't have to be, everybody vote for the same thing.
Right.
Everybody gets to make their argument.
Yeah.
And you get to make your argument right here.
Yeah.
You're making your argument, and when a motion comes out, you get to make your argument. But the bottom line is 4 people go for it. That's it. But everybody gets you get to hash it out, both sides. So that does get to happen.
Good, yeah.
So it was brought up and it was talked about in the budget.
Yeah.
2 people could have talked about it in the budget. And there was some discussion about it in the budget. But that's what the budget committee is about, is same thing.
Yeah, because I
You
was.
don't have to be in total agreement with the
Yeah,
majority. or
because
anybody
I
else.
was told in the budget that it was already in the budget and we'd talk about it at council. That's what I was told. I was trying to bring questions to the budget. That's what I was told.
And you did it.
And so that's why I'm bringing it to the council, because there is no other opportunity for me to bring it.
And it can be corrected at council.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so,
But that's not what he said. He said he.
no, it said it can be,
You can change it if you. want.
because I think in a budget, you can't change a budget that a budget committee brings you any more than 10%. The 10% not line item, or 10% of the total budget.
It's 10% in the fund, whatever fund you're looking.
So you can't change it any more than 10%.
But you can reduce it anything you want. You can
Well,
increase
isn't
it,
that
you can
change?
increase it 10%.
You can't increase it any more than 10%.
More than 10, and well, it's. a
Okay.
couple of rules.
But if you want to go down, you can go
You
down.
can go down if you want.
Okay.
But if you go down, I'm sorry, what's the message you're sending to your employees?
No, we can't go down very much because that's where the cost of living that is at anyway. I remember the letter and I remember the 2 of us going back and forth in emails because I wanted to know more, and you did. You presented nearby areas and what they were paying and a competitive explanation, which was very helpful.
For example, the dishwasher at Big River Grill is getting paid $18 an hour plus tip.
I understand that. There is benefits to working for the city.
Yes, there are.
There, you get a good wage and you get good benefits. You do not have to commute to work. You could actually probably ride a bike from anywhere you live in Cascade Locks if you're a local. So there are, and you get this beautiful scenery. So there are a lot of beauty. I mean, if we pick out the pros and the cons and only go with the cons, and yeah, you guys should have a pay raise. But if we go with all the reasons that we're trying to get a new city administrator in here, all the stuff we're putting on his thing, then it looks really good.
How many applicants did you
But if you guys said that we only got 2 the first time because we weren't offering enough money, so we upped it 10,000 and we didn't get any. So that tells me that it's not about money.
Well, we
Not
upped it, we,
necessarily.
Right.
Might not be enough yet.
I mean,
but what we did is we upped the money, but then we upped the requirements,
Mhm.
which was, I think that was the downfall.
No,
Right.
What the down,
I thought
that was housing,
is what?
housing.
because we're allowing so many short-term rentals that it doesn't look attractive to live here because you can't find
No, no,
any
no.
place.
No, we only have like 21 or 22 short-term rentals. It's not even 5% of the limit that we put in our,
Mhm.
in the.
But a city administrator, somewhere that they would like to live on the wage that they make, you're not gonna wanna go live in a trailer. You're accustomed to live in a different way, so houses for you are not available in Cascade lots.
Housing for the teachers aren't available in Cascade lots. Housing for our firefighters aren't available in Cascade lots. Housing for all of the 80% of our workforce leaves every day, and 80% of the workforce that lives here comes every day. You're absolutely right, but housing is an issue
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have. I mean, we have a utility worker one, that somebody gonna come and can start working again and gets certification, gets a raise, he does some other things, gets a raise, and he's got a future here, because we're always gonna have somebody working with the sewer and from the water and everything else. We've got 0 applicants at $18 an hour.
I don't, but it's how, and then that is going on everywhere, and I understand it might be about wages or whatever, I'm trying to figure out why everybody has a hiring problem right now, like they can't get anybody. My husband or my son works for a place in Tualatin that offers top dollar for what they do in their industry, and they can't get anybody, so I don't think it's about necessarily all about the money, there's something going on and I don't understand it. I don't understand why we can't get, everybody's short of help.
There's 5.5 million applications out there, positions out there for which there are not enough.
Yeah,
Or
I don't get it, but it's something new.
something, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Everybody figures it out, everybody's trying.
Well, we're putting a bunch of people in the workforce, potential people in the workforce every year, every time there's graduation from high school, it's a whole bunch of people coming into the workforce and yeah, I don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess an example as far as in your own town, we're very mobile now. So people have no problem going, jump on that freeway, go to Florida, and go wherever they gotta go. An example, we got a guy that worked for Intel, he's working for right now, but Intel is growing. And one of the plants that they grow, one plant's building is gonna have need 12,000 employees or whatever in this thing to do one of the chip things that they have processing they do. Well, they're doing things to attract all those, so there are businesses that are okay with what they got in employees, and there are businesses that aren't.
Yeah.
But I guarantee the ones that are in pretty good shape are paying a lot of money to those employees. So,
It's a
yeah,
national shortage.
It is. So it is.
Before you make the motion, can you make sure to make the motion to include looking into the 2 line items that are dropped off?
make a motion to include what?
To include the 2 line items that are dropped off of the, just so that it's in the record and so that it keeps getting brought up so you guys see it, so that it doesn't get pushed to the wayside.
Those line items, the 1,403,62872, it's not dropped off, or one part of it is dropped off, and the other one's misplaced. Because on the budget we have that's came out in our packet, the $40,000 is under the year 2021, where it should be where it's here.
Yeah.
But the 4648's been dropped off. So that one's back on, and
So that's in, under the agency fund.
Yeah, it's,
We're page 7. Yeah,
1403, 2872.
What page you on?
Page 7, agency page 7.
Yeah, agency
it's
page
just, I see
7.
that, I see it there.
Yeah, the budget was 4648. The budget goes away.
Yeah,
That number, so the 40,000 is what we actually spent. Actually, the 648 was probably going to the fire department. But the 40,000 is there.
yeah, it's there. The other one,
What section is that on?
That's under agency, general fund agency, page 7.
Not on this year's, it's on last year's.
Yeah, because it was paid before June 30th.
Understandable, but it still shouldn't drop off of the, it still shouldn't drop off of the. You should still be carrying that line across.
there.
It's there.
Mary Ann got it back in. fixed it.
Maybe she did,
yeah, she got it back in.
okay.
And the other one, the line item 21-305-43206. Yeah, that one is clear. It doesn't show anything on it. The line items there, there's just nothing in it.
Again, but it's a budget.
Yeah,
And the budget number, there was no expenditure on the budget. And so it doesn't, the budget number doesn't carry on your, the actual expenditure numbers carry on for the last 2 years. But that one, we'll find out what happened to that because when the board paid it,
And
they were supposed to pay $60,000, $250,000, and actually came in at 223,000, and they only paid 156.
okay, and if
So
there
I
were,
have to find it.
if there were updates to the budget pages, then the budget committee should get them. So,
I think these are up to be approved, they're not been approved yet.
Yeah.
So, I think it's the next item that's on our agenda.
which I also have questions.
Yeah. Cause I don't, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
For shifting funds.
yes.
So do we have a motion? And take consideration that we want those into that motion too. So have we have a motion?
I motion to approve resolution 1475, approving the municipal corporate budget for FY 2022-23, making appropriations, authorizing expenditures, and levying taxes, and getting an explanation for this one.
I second.
Okay, then moving second to approve resolution 1475, adopting 22-23 municipal budget, making appropriations, authorizing expenditures, and levy taxes of $22,671,049, along with the addition to informational pages here for some of that. Discussion. And I, as far as this one here, some of these things we have absolutely no control, like PERS, we have absolutely no control of that. Tier 1, which is no longer here anymore. Tier 1 was a great retirement. In fact, it was so great that we'll be paying for it for forever. It was overdue, and that's what you're paying for. We pay it, I think, what you have there, 30-some% of whatever, if you make $100,000, PERS gets 34,000 on top of that, we get, and we have to pay it. Even though PERS originally, when it was happening, it was like a 6% for the employee, 6% for employer. Now employer, in order to keep up with what they did, has to pay 30, we have to pay 30-some%. We have to do that. That's what's killing schools' budgets, that's what's killing state budget, that's what's killing our budget, but you have to pay it. You're not getting out of that. The health insurance, that, as I understand it, what happens with it is the negotiation with the line crew to be able to get the insurance company that we got to meet theirs, had to have all employees of the city. They would not take just one or two employees or three employees off the power company. So the entire, city staff had to be on, and that's why everybody's got a very good health plan. Because of what got negotiated by the line crew.
But it was not the top health plan, but the next one down. We talked them into,
And I think we got that through your negotiations in the last one, because
it wasn't the top, but then.
yeah, and you got it down some, but it's still a great, yeah. It is a great policy. For, for you or I, it is a great policy, but again, that's what he's faced with, is sometimes you get young people in that aren't, they're paying that, but they're not interested in that.
And it's not my intention to bring it up that you can do anything about it, it's just so that you know what the numbers are. And I mean, it used to be that some employees got paid better benefits than they did wages.
Yes.
in the city, I mean, at one time, so, and I don't know if that's still true, because we don't.
Well,
we
you
don't
I
get those
mean,
numbers.
We put that much into their benefit was higher than what wages, yeah.
Yeah.
For some. But, it's in my mind, from a wage end of it, that's where the world is right now, and I believe in trying to keep people around here. And it looks like, in order to keep them around, we gotta give them some more money, and when I look at what we're paying people in comparison to what other people getting out there doing some of the very same things, we were under them. We were under that stuff. And it looks huge to me because, I made $5 one time. Or three, I remember working at the mill. I worked in the mill for 8 years. I worked 6 tens. And I went back to look at my social security and worked 6 10. I worked 6 tens. I worked hard on that. And at the end of the year, what I paid taxes on was $18,000. I made $18,000. So I don't know if I can't remember what my hourly pay was, but I worked 60 hours a week. So 20 of that was overtime, and I still only made $18,000. So yeah, what everybody's getting right now blows me away,
Right.
but it's still,
When
yeah, it
They're
drives
driving
me.
by the taco place and they're getting paid
Well,
$17.50
it blows me
an hour.
away,
It's like,
yeah.
what?
It's- Yeah,
It varies as kids.
it does. But the fact is, if you want, if you want to get these employees, you got to try to keep up with what's going on out there. And I think we've got a talent people are wanting to come to. And I think our council's done a good job to try to make sure we got a good, we're doing all we can to get a good power company. And I think Gordon's worked really hard to be able to shore up the issues that we have in there. And we work hard to try to get a good water sewer so that anybody who comes here knows that and you guys are all working on plans. And I guarantee you, there's a whole lot of cities that are not going to be in as good a shape as us once we're done with this sewer system, because we're going to have, our water system's not perfect, but it's in pretty good shape. Our sewer system, I believe, is going to be in really good shape. And I think our power system is going to be in okay shape. I believe they're in okay shape in comparison to other things that are out there. So I think the council has done a lot of things to bring people, to bring business, to bring everything here. And to me, I think it's important to pay, to try to pay our employees. And I think Tiffany's argument, and I agree with her, the argument she always makes, and her argument is strictly, let's at least look at that. That's what she's asking here too. She wanted that in the budget, only because she said, and that's what she says she sticks with that every year. Take a look at it, compare, make comparisons, look into these things. That's all she asks us to do.
Yeah, as council, we need to do like our own research, not go off of what you hear or what you're told in this meeting or anything. Do your own research.
It helps.
Because I have actually done my own research and found a lot of times it wasn't always the correct information. So I would really recommend people do that if they're gonna research, to not just listen to what people tell you, do your own research at credible sites or whatever.
You know, I'd also say, we have some employees that are, people would say have played pretty well, but they've been here a long time. And I've seen enough things where I've worked that when you turn people over, it can create tremendous havoc with you. The people who have history, who have information, who have been doing things for you for a long time, you find they become really invaluable, because sometimes you go, glad that's, glad I'm not paying that anymore. And all of a sudden you pull in somebody and you find out that, man, they don't know, they're confused, they've got this goofed up, that, they create problems. Sometimes they work out well, but sometimes they don't. But when you got people who have been doing it, got that history with it, that has value.
Yeah, I get it.
It has value to it. Anyway, that's my, any other discussion on here? That's my 2 minutes into it. I would just say one more thing. I want to, Tiffany has been at this for years, and numbers mean things. It means a lot to her, and she looks at all of them, just like she looks at every line on them, which is that's part of budgeting. She looks at every one of them. She always has looked at every one, and she's made huge impacts in councils that I've been on and budgets that I've been involved in. So I appreciate all that you bring to the budget committee and frankly to our community for what you've done. Anyway, again, that's now I'm done. So are we ready to vote? Or we have more discussion?
Do we have a motion?
We had a motion and a
And a second, yeah. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so we got 4, so,
Motion carries.
and you're open to be able to talk about why you said no, or you don't have to. But if you want to say why you said no, you're welcome to do that.
Oh, I said no.
Oh, you said,
I think I already read it.
yeah, so you're welcome to say that, or if you've already said enough on it, whatever you want to do.
Well, and it's not even, I'll say that I wasn't against a pay raise, but I was against 10%.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so. We have too much stuff here. Okay, approve resolution number 1477, adjustments to the 2021-2022 budget. You have a question on that one? Sure. There you go.
Well, it's just like 2 years in a row, we've kind of done this budget and then we get all of these adjustments afterwards. Is there like no?
So there are 2 problems that occurred with this one. One was last year, the 2021 to 2022 transition. The fiscal year started July 1st, but the payroll, it was over that July 1st period, okay? And normally what happens when we go through our audit, the auditor will back out that prorated portion that should have been in the previous fiscal year, but was recorded in the current fiscal year. This year, the auditor did not do that. So we had for everybody's salary was overstated for the year because the auditor didn't do the back out for those. That's the first problem. The second problem, well, it wasn't a problem. The second one was Mary Ann and I retired and we got paid our vacation, accrued vacation. And so that's why the most of the balances and the changes were because of those 2 issues.
Okay, so do we not know this going into budget when we're working on budget for the year?
No, because this particular, the problem was the invoice cloud screwed up our reconciliations with our funds because their timing was different, and we're still working on the reconciliations of the funds. I think we're in January or February now. So normally we have all that done, and this year we didn't have that done.
So this is 2 years for the accounting firm that we've had issues. Is there an issue with the accounting?
The issue with the audit was perhaps with the auditing firm, but the issue on the reconciliations was strictly because we tried to go to this automated payment system, and their system and our system couldn't match up, and we're having incredible difficulties figuring out who paid what they're allowed for, and what carries over to the next month. We've got rid of that invoice cloud. It's a express bill thing. So we're working through those issues. We shouldn't have that issue this fiscal year. But the two big issues were the carryover of the salaries for everybody that were applying to this year. It should have been retroactive to the previous year. And then, you know, as good as we are with budgeting, there's sometimes we don't hit it.
Don't guess right.
Yeah.
I understand. I
And
understand.
so, and the other thing that makes this look a little different is, we had unanticipated revenue that we received in order to cover some of these costs. And for example, the WSP to WSIP debt service from 210 to 225, we collected 15,000 more than we wanted, what we have, or that we had budgeted. That has to move to the debt service fund because it's dedicated to the debt service fund. So that created some of this, the debt service issues. The reason we had to go through the wages, it's all with that unrecognized or the unprorated salaries that fell into this year that put us over. The only thing that didn't was museum utilities. They've gone to more hours, longer season. We couldn't anticipate that in the budget, so they have more utility costs.
So is this a new problem that we've never had before, or have we?
Yes, for the museum or for
For
the.
the wages.
Yeah, yes, I think it's a one-time project. The auditor just didn't catch the 2 or 3 days that should have been applied to the previous fiscal year, but were included in our fiscal year. So now we're backing it up.
And then does the budget committee get this information?
It's just adjusted to the current budget. It's not the budget that's going forward.
I know, but we're part of making sure our last year's budget meets up with this year's budget, and I think the information should go up to. At least I would like it, I guess. Maybe everybody else is not a number nerd like I am, but
Sure, we can get you a copy.
you can decide. Okay, this? Okay. So are these all the change pages that were changed that you have in here, or there's?
That's the total budget without the narrative.
Wow, what a comparison, you guys.
I try to give you as much information as I
do a very good job.
When you first started, that's all you got was a spreadsheet
Right,
with no.
I know. And it's my fault that you get this much, actually, honestly, just because I wanted to know, because because they wanted as little information as possible.
I would say, yeah, don't apologize. I think you're doing great, and I love all the questions, and I think it's really valuable. So don't apologize. You're fine.
And so the second comment with this current resolution, 1477, if we don't do it, we'll be in violation of budget law.
Well, the only thing, like last year, this is new for me, but last year went through the budget process. We all voted, and then after we voted yes, then we had problems. And so it kind of made me feel like, well, wait a minute. I thought we had everything set. And so then again, going through this year, going through everything, I'm like, okay, I think we have.
Okay, but to be fair, there are adjustments every year. There are
Right.
adjustments every year, and last year was an exceptional year. I've been on doing this for a long time. It was an exceptional year that had a bunch of weird stuff happening, but I do agree with it, finding out after we'd already gone through the budget, oh, now we do have this one problem.
But you also understand that we put the budget together in February, March, April. And we don't know what we're gonna be expending the last quarter of the fiscal year.
Right.
And so when those things come in, we have to make adjustments so that
Right.
our revenues are budgeted, how do I say this? We don't overspend our budget funds, and so that's why we have to move money around, and actually, we're only moving like $30,000. And on a $21 billion budget,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
But there are more numbers here than we know normally. I wasn't looking at it last year, but normally.
There hasn't been
You know, there's
anything.
only a few of them in there, so,
Yeah.
but it sounds like they've had.
Is there an explanation just for the $30,000 being changed? I mean, because this is the whole budget and.
It's this, did you get?
The 1477, revenue of 1477, we're not changing anything in the budget
Yeah.
that you just passed. We're changing only in this current budget, and it's, again, administration, personal services for the city administrative finance officer and the city recorder. Health insurance, again, was out of balance. The first property, personal services, I don't know, that's, materials and certain museum is just that they use more money. But property and personal services, we did more in our property area than we usually do. Cemetery beginning fund balance, it was short. Then that's just because the cemetery funds, which we're trying to correct. There wasn't anything there. The interfund transfers was because we collected more in debt service revenue than we had budgeted. And so we made that correction. The water system improvement fund, same thing as the debt service erosion control fund, same thing as the debt service. We collected more than we anticipated collecting for debt service. And all that does is it goes to the debt service fund. And when we pay that first payment, then we'll overpay that. And the sewer fund, again, it's the personnel, which is the payroll problem for the supervisor, the worker, and the utilities. And then contingency the money's in the contingency, and it's just easiest to move it out of contingency a little bit.
Did it need to be in here somewhere about that, was it about 1,600 that we were taking from the training and putting it into the community?
That, for this year,
Yeah,
that is within a department, and it's within materials and services. So they keep the line item reflective of what we spent it on. The next year, if it's $10,000 for community services, but we spent 12,000, it'll show the 12,000, and the 2,000 that was in travel and training will be zero. It's within that department. This is where we're moving material services
from one spot to
from one category to another category.
To shore up that category.
To shore up the category.
And we're not shoring up that category.
Because we had
We haven't had to shore up.
and so we take it out of a category where we didn't spend it all and move it to a category where we did spend it. So the total budget is not affected. And welcome to budget law 101.
So you can overspend, as long as you find it somewhere else. That's the name of the.
So the total on this resolution 1477, just in the administration and health insurance and personal service supervisor and personal service worker, it's a $31,000.
I handed it. It's
Yeah,
like 24,000
yeah.
for personnel services and another 7,000.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's,
For-
yeah. And because government accounting is double entry,
mhm,
you debit somewhere, you credit someplace else.
mhm.
And so you have, that's why it looks like it's a lot more than it is. That's why the 22 million, it's really only 11 million because you're moving funds between, it's 11 million here, same 11 million over here, but it's added together to make it 22 million. Right?
Yeah, half of it's anticipated funds.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So It's not real money. You can say that. It's accounting.
But if you get it, it's gone.
But if you, yeah, but if you get it, if you get it, you have to have a place to put it, and that's what Mary Ann's really good at doing, is anticipating that money that we may or may not get at some point in the future.
So, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve resolution number 1477, authorizing the transfer of funds between categories of various funds, making appropriations and authorizing expenditures for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved to second to approve resolution number 1447. Discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Now, approve city administrator contract extension.
My contract's up right.
And everybody, we'll see what, put together with the lawyer, what he's asking. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a month-to-month extension.
As a non-PERS employee.
That doesn't make any difference anymore, thanks to the Oregon legislature. You're still paying PERS on my employee, but I don't get credit for it. It simply reduces the hole that's in sale.
Yeah.
So I noticed that it mentions your pay rate, but it is any time off or vacation prorated in this.
No, my time off is paid at the whatever rate I get. It's not.
You're not accruing.
Your
vacation.
salary.
I am accruing limited vacation. I am not accruing. I can't sick leave. I'm accruing, but I don't get paid for it. When I do get vacation, but it's, I'm taking 3 days this week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it a little bit.
No, I was, for your sake, I was wondering about that.
Oh, no, I don't worry about that.
So, we got a motion. So, right.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the contract extension of the city administrator contract until such time as a replacement is hired by the city.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second to approve contract extension of the city administrator contract until as the replacement is hired by the city. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Interested citizens.
Oh, we still have.
Oh,
one.
we still-
Oh,
Do we have an amended agenda, resolution?
well, you
number
said
41?
it.
No, I said it out before.
Well, I didn't get it.
Okay, it's a resolution of 1478, a designation of agent. Here's what happened. We're applying for the solar power, solar battery, diesel generator grant through the Hood River Energy Council, who's helping us put this together. And the federal government wanted a designation of agent in case the mayor cannot sign, then who's going to be the one that signs all the paperwork? And so I put this resolution together and on the right form, and I had amended it to the agenda. Then the Hood River Energy Council, her staff called me and said, but the agenda has to be in, or the application has to be in by Friday, last Friday. So I said, well, we don't need this anymore. So I went and found the mayor, got him to sign all of the paperwork and send in his application. It's I don't know, $345,000, $350,000 that will get us a new roof and all of the solar battery storage and all of this diesel stuff. And for which all we have to put in is the generator that we already have. So basically, the roof for free, we get the storage for free, but it's split between federal monies and state monies. And so, because I found the mayor, I got him to sign this thing, we sent out the application, I think it's 52 pages long, federal application. And so I called the River Energy Council again, I said, okay, we got the mayor's signature, we don't need to do this resolution designation of agent. And she goes, oh, let's do it anyway, just to be on the safe side in case we have to do something later. And I said, okay, so that's what this
Expecting
is.
something to happen.
It's,
Don't.
no, we've already done that this year.
Yeah.
And so basically what this is just backstopping the application. And if we need to do anything, then I can sign.
So what happens when you leave then?
It's the
And then
position. Whoever fills the position.
They would.
Or you may have to do this again. It's the
Well,
federal paperwork.
Yeah, it has your name on it.
It
Right.
does, but it's the position that's designated agent.
So I don't have it, so if somebody happen to make themselves a motion, and we have a motion, I'm good with that. I'm just looking for
Just resolution to pass through.
a motion.
Is there a reason why there's 6 copies? Is it, are they all different, or is there a trick?
I think you got everybody's copy. I
Yeah,
don't.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Oh, here, you got them all, Brenda.
No, I got mine.
Oh,
I don't, and I don't have.
no, I got
That's why I
one.
said
I
here.
got one, there's another one.
I got one Julie's and Julie's and,
Yeah, yeah. I couldn't figure out, yeah.
They're-
They're, find the difference.
I didn't know. Now I get it. All right.
So do we have a motion?
Make a motion for resolution, to approve resolution number 1478, designation of an agent.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. That's resolution number 1478, designation of agent. Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
So just,
Opposed?
just for this application, the federal, this is FEMA money for hazard mitigation. The application went in Friday, we will know within 10 to 18 months on whether we get the money. So the original thought was we were going to go after the Department of Energy's $12 million for energy resilience project, which this is. But that money, if awarded to us, has to be spent within a year. And so we're waiting on the Department of Energy grant for a year to next year's round, so that we can match up the 2 grants, and the state will pay $154,000, the feds will pay $175,000, and the city does the $415,000 generator in kind. So it's a timing issue, and we may not get any of it. And we may get it all. So that's just want you to understand what we're trying to do is get us a free roof. Excuse me. Make us energy resilience.
Well, inflation could be at 20%.
Yeah. Well, you do have some funds available in capital reserve.
Okay. Okay, so here's the interest of citizens. Don't see any thumbs up. So, reports, presentations, city committees. City administrator examiner report.
Brenda, Dry Creek. We went out to find the pump, and the first bid we got was 6 to 10 months and $20,000. We have another bid that's 2 weeks and only $12,000, but it has not yet been confirmed. We're hoping that we can get the two weeks. Sheldon is working with Dennis Snyder Construction and with an electrician so that we can schedule it all, when we get that pumper up there, we're digging, we're putting it in. So that's all I can tell you.
Did the pump, was that a pump on Moody? Did you guys check that? Was that a
Oh,
pump?
yes, we looked at the pumps on Moody and it's a different kind of pump, like the
Okay.
engineer said it would work,
Okay,
but we did check that out.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Election packets for those of you who are brave enough to run for council. I'm sorry, that's available from Kathy or they're on the website. We passed out the last time, Kathy, you were here, the Columbia Gorge, River Gorge Commission Climate Change Action Plan. If any of you have any comments to make, they're due by July 5th. This is a reminder for everybody, fireworks are prohibited in the city of Cascade Lodge. And have been since 2005 when we had a fire. What was that, 2008? When was that fire that burned up?
The one down here in the middle,
No, the one
I
that
think that was three.
was 3.
I think that's.
So this was probably a result of that. Anyway, so it's fireworks are prohibited. I have gotten some legislative ballots back from the legal cities. Just circle what you want to do. If you don't have them done tonight, take them home and bring them back to me or to the office this week, and I'll have them in the July 11th package. The Marine Park lift station, the pump that we thought was going to be 6,000 turned out to be 12,000. Our engineering firm said we're using, we looked at 7 different options, and we're using our backup pump right now with the current pump as the backup to the backup, so that we can try and make it till October, November, when the station will be refurbished. They said we could fix that pump for $12,000. It may last a day, it may last a week, it may last a month. So the engineering firm said, let's not waste that money. Let's take a risk in doing that. Worst comes to worst, we will rent a pump and if we can't back it up. So that's the Marine Park lift station. Number 7, during our investigation of the electric department employee last year, we had 2 interviews between a private investigator and the employee at the IBEW. The first interview went fine. The second interview, we had a different IBEW rep. He was disruptive and obstructive. And so the labor attorney recommended, after a cooling off period, to file a ULB, unfair labor practice, against the union for the actions of Mr. Rondo in his investigation. It cost us $300. It is currently being reviewed by the IBEW. They will respond. If it goes to arbitration, there's a chance we could lose, but there's a great chance that we can win. If we win, they will pay us back the $300 plus our attorney fees. So it was a risk worth taking for me, because the union rep was completely out of line in telling our employee, you don't have to answer that kind of stuff. So in my 30 years of union negotiations, this is my first ULB. Number 8. You wanted to know what's going on with the wastewater facilities project, so here's the timeline. We're doing sewer line cleaning now through July 6th. It may be set back a week, but that's the first thing they're going to do. They're going to go in, they're going to jet clean, see where the cracks are, see what they have to do. And then there's going to be a cured in place liner and repairs. When they identify where those things are, those cracks are, they can actually slip form it and put a seal around it and refurbish the pipe that's already there. That's a whole lot cheaper than digging up the street. The main pump station in Marine Park, it will be started on the 19th of September and finished by December. The industrial park lift station starts immediately after that. They're building the building for the grit removal system right now. If you go down there, you'll see a big hole in the ground. They ran into a problem. the headworks has an 18-inch cast iron pipe that leads from the headworks down to the sewer plant. Makes sense. When we located it wrong. So they dug the hole to build a new building, and lo and behold, there's this 8-inch cast iron pipe. That's gonna go right through the building. It makes sense, this is where the flow's gonna go, but in the meantime, I can't build a building around an 18-inch cast iron pipe. So, we approved the engineering today to do a temporary pipe around down to the building so that we can vacate that ductile iron pipe, build the grid removal chamber, and then reconnect the flow pipes. So, best laid plans of life and that. The upgrade for the SBR, that's the sequencing batch reactor number 1, will start in November. And number 2 will start also in the middle of November. What that means is we will have a portable treatment plant parked next to the sequencing batch reactors that will be treating our sewage from the beginning of November to the end of January.
So part of the upgrade to them is to go in and clean all the material that was in the bottom of it.
We're cleaning all of it out, we're replacing the internal workings of the sequencing batch reactor. We're right sizing them, we're making.
Would be the area.
It's just everything, every pump, everything, all the mechanical equipment, the flow with it,
It's in, okay.
we're replacing it all. Then the mechanical building will be doing some upgrades there. The aerobic digesters upgrade starts in December. UV disinfection. When the effluent comes out of the storage areas, flows through this UV inspection area, we hit it with ultraviolet light to kill any remaining bacteria before the effluent hits the river. Okay. Then we have to do a plant lift station upgrade. There is a lift station at the plant, and it's working, but we're gonna, as long as we're in doing everything else, we might as well fix that one too. The aerobic digester number 2 will get the upgrade starting in February after the number 1 is finished. So we're doing half the plant at a time. And then when that's all done, we'll go through and see what are the little things that have to be done, decommissioning the portable treatment plant, cleaning everything up. That's the punch list. So it's going to be done in April. Fingers crossed. Neighborhood watch signs, there it is. The color wasn't quite what I sent, but it's still nice. And it's reflective, so when the headlights hit it at night, it'll pop. And we did that specifically so that people are coming off the freeway and they're going, I'm gonna vote for this neighborhood. We want that headlight to hit it, we want them to see. And Sheldon will be placing these at every street that leads off of Forest Lane and Walnut at the beginning of every street. And then we've got a couple others, just they're gonna be placed like the other side of the freeway on going into Rockland and stuff.
Thank you.
So, but that's
Are they all that color?
I think your computer's off on color, 'cause
it was.
that's definitely purple.
Well,
It's-
again, I sent them a blue.
Yeah.
Okay? They picked the pink. So, But again, it doesn't matter.
Ask for a discount because they messed up.
I would be like, I don't know, it's definitely, I like the blue, I like the way the blue popped, I like the way it felt. This, it's kind of a muted color a little bit, but it's definitely purple.
Well, but the color's not the critical thing. The thing is the message.
It is, but I thought the color that we chose, or, that you had, that really just, it,
I sent them the artwork and that's what came back. And that's, and
take a
it's,
picture, say it's purple, You tell them it's not blue. That's, from what you had printed, that's a huge color difference. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
We're stuck with it.
I think we are. I think, it's, maybe it'll fade. I don't. It was $1,200.
It's all we got.
We got, 45 of them.
Well,
I just know with the background in printing, if a customer got something that wasn't the color that they ordered, that company's responsible to reprint.
Yeah, print. That's aluminum.
Well,
That's,
we didn't order purple. I guess it's neither here nor there.
gonna take a picture of it and put it in the newsletter.
okay, I didn't take a picture of that one. I took a picture of what I sent to them. But it's in the corner, it's in the newsletter.
Okay.
Just let everybody know, and then I quoted the Winter County Sheriff, said, if you see something that's suspicious, and you think the situation is urgent, call 911. If it's not urgent, call this number to contact the deputy. I got that right off the webpage.
I did that the other night because and I've said it multiple times, when I hear something at my house, I actually go check it. So I hear noise out the bus stop, which has happened before. And it's over my TV and everything, so it's loud, and I go outside and there's two trucks. And I don't know whose trucks or anything, and then they take off. But then there's like three men, I don't know if they're men or teenage boys or what, by the bus stop being really loud, kind of in the middle of the road, not at the bus stop. So I have a real strong flashlight, and I did do the right thing. I said, my husband, I said, you need to go do this. And so we can stand at our door and shine the flashlight at them and ask them like, what are you up to? And they're like, we're tweakers, what do you care? Take the light off of us. And we're like, well, we're gonna call the police since you want to be smart, and went in and they took off running. But I did, I called 911 and they got to go check it out. They actually were on a call in town that same night on something else. So,
There have been increased patrols, and increased people getting pulled over. I will have to say this is not for the minute. I was following the deputy on Wampon Street. I think it was Sunday. And he did a U-turn in front of me. Sorry. Okay, all right, back to my report.
yep.
So anyway, those are the stop signs. They'll be going up as Sheldon gets time to put them in. The annual water quality report is included in your packet. It will be going out with the newsletter. Our water was good this year. And vacation, I'll be taking the next 3 days off. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, you have a thing on this one.
Oh, yes, you're right. The wedding. I guess, we got this email this afternoon, or this morning, from Ally Brooks, who's getting married on July 9th, and she was sent to us by Janetta Blue. Wants a waiver of the noise ordinance, and I didn't reproduce all the noise ordinance and all the stuff for you. I think you guys are familiar with that. But they would like the noise waiver from 10 to midnight.
I only approved them before up until like 11. That's what I was gonna say. I think it was 11.
Yeah,
I remember right.
Yeah,
I don't think we've approved one until midnight before.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we did one.
Was it till midnight? One?
Yeah, we did one till midnight.
Yeah.
Was the one the other night till midnight?
Well, they were
Yeah, maybe
done,
we should
I should have
shorten
done by 9. And again, there's hearsay of what people are talking about there. so-
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
somebody, they just bumped somebody.
So anyway, you want to do 10, or 11, 12, not at all?
if they want to, I don't know, maybe compromising to 11.
Well,
Because it's 10 right now,
It's
right?
your decision.
Yeah.
You get to choose. But it is referred to us from the port, so the port knows
Right,
it's their wedding.
right.
And I would have brought it to you at the next meeting, but the next meeting is July 11th.
Right.
I'm not aware of any complaints we were at down in the park. Noise, I mean, I hear noise down there, but I don't here where the noise reaches out to anybody, like
They can
to
impact.
bother anybody. So that's-
Eventually, it's probably gonna happen, just like somebody on Fleming.
So anyway, what do you wanna do? Are we okay with 12?
I'm okay with 12 myself.
Ready?
Can't that be a motion? Because it's normally passed in a motion.
Okay, we get a motion, 12 o'clock,
Make a motion to approve the noise ordinance,
Waiver.
noise waiver till midnight on July 9th for the wedding.
I'll second.
we move to second to waiver the minimum for noise ordinance until midnight. On, July 9th, that works.
Yes.
Yeah, all in favor, say aye. Aye. I'm not gonna stay on there long enough to. Well, if they left,
Right.
I'll be down maybe around 9 o'clock. Okay. Mayor and City Council comments.
First of all, thank you for the city and putting these amazing packets together. They're super helpful. Thank you to Tiffany who came and with her extra eyes and her knowledge is greatly appreciated. And thank you to City Council. It sounds like there were a lot of things are passed last meeting for community projects or funds that were asked. So thank you for that and good to be back. That's it.
Jen,
June 29th, there's a job fair over in Stevenson, and I was wondering if you were, I mean, not for your position, working with the lineman. Is there,
Lyman would,
Yeah.
that wouldn't work?
that's a union thing.
Yeah.
If you're not a union guy, there's no way you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
get it.
Okay. And then I was wondering if you could, you mentioned that you responded to the Jasmine Fernandez with the working with Granite Construction wanting water.
Yes.
So what,
They come in, they put in a $700 deposit. The deposit gets them access to a hydrant meter. The hydrant meter then measures how much water they take and they pay $2.50 per 1,000 gallons.
okay. Okay.
And she asked everybody, and I think 3 of us responded. So she got the same information.
Very good. With our deadline, August 26th for the election packets, I was wondering just if you could let city council know maybe how many, are you allowed to tell us, not the people who are running, but are you allowed to tell us how many have applied for city council?
You know, that's a great question. I'm sure I can. We have one candidate for mayor at this point.
It just would make me feel a little bit more at ease knowing that people have stepped up.
Well, usually, well, Tom will tell you this, but usually what happens is there's a crowd at
At the
the
end.
counter at 4:30
yeah,
and to file the paperwork.
Yeah,
If everybody wants to
you
see
you should run.
who's gonna.
yeah. That's why I was just wondering when the deadline hits us, if you could let us know maybe at the next city council.
Oh, yeah, I can tell you how many.
Yeah. Okay.
If
And
I'm
then
still
with
here.
the,
Excuse me.
what?
If I'm still here, I don't know.
Oh.
Hopefully somebody else will come in.
With the, I forgot what it's called, the thing, the National Night Out, is that what it's?
Yes.
National Night Out, is, can we get Chief Logan in when it gets closer to kind of give us what's
He's
happening?
on top of it. We could ask for a report.
And then my last thing is just kind of a pet peeve. With what happened today, I don't understand why ODOT didn't let traffic between Cascade Locks and Hood River. I heard that you could leave Cascade Locks and go to Hood River, but even by telling them at the barricade in Hood River that you lived in Cascade Locks, they still wouldn't let us back in. And I don't understand why they could just barricade. If somebody lied, then they'd have to get out from Cascade Locks and go across the bridge or whatever. It's,
I don't know, that's a great question.
My wife had the same question.
yeah,
Why
it's,
they
come
gotta
back from the
lock it
river?
or-
no, you could not, and there were people that asked and said, you know, and I'm sorry, but I think it was pure laziness that they just didn't want to put up a barricade at Cascade Locks to stop people from going on to Troutdale. It's-
They had the barricade, they parked the truck across the.
Well, yeah, so that's really angry and,
And during the fire, when we had the fire, they were blocking us where we couldn't come on and travel, but then toward, as it progressed and days went on, you could show your license and get through. So they would make exceptions as long as it wasn't like, in the beginning, of course not, but as they were doing Moffett, they would let you through if you were local.
right,
So,
And there's a lot of different factors on what they're doing and why they're doing it. It may be because there was the accidents and Stevenson and White Sand.
That was crazy.
And they were just trying to control both sides of the.
but if they would have let people go and cross at Cascade Locks, there wouldn't have been so much on SR 14.
Yeah, but again, that's a great question.
You're right.
Yeah, and it would have, you know, divided it in half, more or less.
The only thing that I thought of on it is Hood River on SR 14 has a light. Trying to get on SR 14 in mass at our bridge, unless they put somebody up there in the traffic control, it's tough. But Hood River, it all flows with the
Well,
light.
yeah, but I think Kathy or Cameron's point is, I live in Hood in Cascade Locks, I want to go home.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It should have been able to show your license and show Cascade Locks.
yeah.
Right, just like when we had that fire. Anyway, I would kind of like to get that in place for, maybe they have a reason that I don't know of, you know, and I'm ready to hear it, but, so that that won't happen like this again. Anyway. And, yeah, thank you to Tiffany for coming in and, yay, we made it through another budget. And that's all I got.
All right, I want to say thanks to staff and everyone, and I want to reemphasize it's not that I was against a pay raise, I was against a 10%. I wanted to ask if we were, the railroads fixing the track down there, because they're doing some work down there.
They are doing maintenance work at the crossings. They replaced the crossing at Hermit Creek Lane. They will be doing the crossing at Cramble Way on July 4th. And so that will be closed. And July 5th, if they have any paving, they'll do half at a time. They are also doing Hermit Creek Road crossing. So they're just doing all of the.
But they're not making that, not doing that while they're there, because they got all the equipment there.
It's no, please.
Right.
I have,
I mean,
I actually have the ODOT, excuse me, the UP rep, government rep is coming out on July the 8th. And
yeah,
I'm gonna ask him, why doesn't one part of UP Railroad talk to another part of UP Railroad? Because UP Railroad, we've committed to paying $125,000 to do that profile change. Well, this was just maintenance, it wasn't a profile change, but yes, you're requiring me to make it instead of 24 feet, 28 feet. Couldn't we work together?
yeah.
And to do well, no, because you're gonna do it as part of the train horn quiet zone issue. I'm trying to reduce your risk. Let me reduce the risk. But it's falling on,
It's because the truck got stuck, is why we need that part done.
yes, but it's a private crossing,
Mhm.
belongs to the port.
Okay.
We want to make it a public crossing. I can't make it a public crossing until I do the profile change. I can't do the profile change until UP Railroad agrees to it.
Right.
And they said $125,000 to extend it. You plus whatever it costs you to do the profile change. And oh, by the way, when you're doing it, you have to put up new lights. The lights are $225,000. But we don't know what kind it is, and we can't tell you. And I'm trying to get UP to say, can we just do this one step at a time? I won't ask for the train horn quiet zone, but I want to change the profile.
Yeah.
I want to fix that portion of it to reduce your risk.
Yeah.
And so far, I've gotten zero cooperation from UP.
It's a shame because they have all that equipment
They
right
have
there.
You could, well, and I even talked to the guy that was doing the maintenance work. I said, hey, I need this extended 4 feet. He said, oh, that's no problem, we'll do that. So what I'm hoping is, since they have the maintenance, instead of 125,000, it's only gonna be 25,000 to put the new cement plants in there and just widen the profile. If that's the case, then I've got a whole lot better shot at getting the signals in. Although I'm gonna try to convince them that I don't need to put signals in, because you come close to that, you can see all the lines. You know, so that's why I'm having the government rep come in.
Yeah.
The government rep, however, used to be just Oregon, is now the Pacific Northwest. And so it's taken me a month and a half to get people.
Hopefully, that's before they move all the equipment out of here and he sees how crazy that looks, like they're right here.
You gotta take care of that before you leave. I like it.
Okay.
And then I wanna thank Tiffany for coming. I always appreciate when people come to council meetings. And she does have a lot of experience and knowledge. And then what is going on with the speed signs?
I'm waiting for it to get delivered,
Okay,
and they'll be going on, Forest Lane. I haven't chosen the exact location yet, but it will be where a current speed sign is, so they have, here's the speed limit, here's what you're doing.
mhm.
It's probably going both directions at the airport.
You need that. I think the one going westbound needs to be toward this end of Forest Lane, because that's when they really are going. They're not going that fast by the time they get to the airport.
Well,
So just
yeah,
good
that's a great-
information.
good, appreciate that.
Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Okay, I'd like to thank staff for all their hard work and Tiffany for her appearance for today, helping us clarify our budget. And I'd like to thank Gordon for including me on his farewell tour to Condon. It was, we went to the LOC meeting there for the small cities, and it's a lot of information I got from Gordon on our travel there and back, and a lot of information I got there at the meeting, and meeting these people over and over, developing these relationships that help us find out what all the small cities are doing. We received a report, an administrative report from LOC, and there was some information about the House Bill 4123 on air conditioning, where now landlords cannot tell tenants that they can't put an air conditioner in their window. And there's supposed to be a low income allocation for people to apply to get air conditioners from the state. Let's see. Well, and also that Condon had used a U of O intern for landscaping. So there's programs out there with universities that if we have a need that they have an intern program for, we can apply and maybe get somebody here to help out with it. And the next LLC meeting will be in Moffett. And they're still looking for some place to go in December. And I think Cascade Lock should step up and say, hey, let's have the small cities meeting here in December. Because that way, when the weather's bad, we wouldn't have to travel far.
They have to come here.
Yeah, they'd have to come here.
What, how many people about is that?
Well, there was about 10, 12.
Oh, so it's.
No, it's small, yeah. Well, 4 cities were represented.
Yeah.
What cities?
Condon, Moffett,
Cascade Locks and
Chanico.
Shannico. Shannico did it.
I think we should do it.
So you want Gordon to do that? That's.
Well, when we go to the,
We'll do it. at
Well,
the
you can
next
make
meeting.
the suggestion. Yeah,
Yeah, the next meeting.
yeah, well, okay.
so, you know, those are great to go to because we develop these good relationships with the other cities. Also unkept property around town. Downtown area, something needs to be done with Gorgeous Brewery and the Cascade Inn.
That's
You know, their front areas really need to be tidied up. It's not a good look for the city.
Isn't that, it's a wild look, isn't it?
Well, the movie's Wild Camper here.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. But still, and then I looked at some other properties, you know, like on Blue Street, there's a property that needs taken care of. And on where Lewis Street comes up to Clark, just, there's a pothole there that is huge. I mean, I can swallow a car.
That's out here by the apartments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's terrible potholes on a couple of those streets there.
yeah.
Yes.
And, on Dry Creek Road, just to the entrance, I don't know exactly where the city line is going up, but right where the entrance to Derek's property is, there is a tree that is hanging up over the road. And I'm afraid on a big wind or something, we have a hiker coming down that road.
That's actually private property.
The road is?
Yeah.
So I hope whoever owns that property will take care of
Could
it.
you make a suggestion with that?
I can. They probably will take care of it because they, yesterday, I think, they listed a 1 acre parcel up there for sale. It's just beyond that.
Okay.
So we'll see if anybody wants to buy that and put in services.
Okay. And I would like to just make one last suggestion for the council is that now we went through this process of putting out money for projects here in the last week. And that we have community fitness being supported by the council, that they be saved and that money asked for in this last week of the budget. Because that way it gives the whole community a chance to get that money first, and what's left over that we could put out for community fitness.
So let me see if I understand.
I'm not following.
So we've got community participation line item, 10 grand.
Yeah.
What you're suggesting is we do not allocate any of that 10 grand until the last, we allocate, council allocates that 10 grand till the last week of the fiscal year that's in, to give the community time to come in before then, to get the money that they want, rather than, even though what you did last time was when community members came in and asked for it.
Yeah.
So what he's just trying to is let's make sure the community gets full opportunity for access to that funding.
But what do you have, are you against the community picnic, or are you? I'm not
I don't
understanding.
think it is our job to be putting on community picnics. It is, us as public officials should not be giving out money and stuff to the community. It's, to me, especially like right now before an election, because I talked to a couple other counselors and stuff about this, and they say it's borderline unethical for us to do that.
I'm still
Especially
trying to
giving-
wrap
But
my brain around.
especially giving away
Mhm.
gifts and stuff like that and that door prizes.
Well, I've had several conversations with Locke, and they said,
cities pay for stuff all the time. They pay for Easter egg hunts, they pay for and sponsor things. And so I guess I'm just really having a hard time understanding it, but
Well, the
everyone
Easter
can
egg-
have their opinion.
Well, the Easter egg hunt was sponsored by a lot of people. But for the city to do it particularly by itself, I just,
It's in partnership with the port. It's not just that.
Some movie night.
It's the last night of movie night. It's a partnership, a thank you to the community.
well, I don't feel comfortable with it, so,
Okay.
and that's all I got to say.
Good, okay.
Okay.
I guess my take on that would just be, I think it's important to do these things, but if you're saying it's by election, I think it would be right if you're running for the election to say, I got you this money. As long as they don't do that, then you're okay. That'd be my take on it.
Yeah.
The fact that the council, somebody brought something up and we did something, I think that's very good of the council. I think the issue would be if that was used as a campaign, slogan, that I don't want to. That's the way I have issue, but I think it's very important for the, and I appreciate the council, that the council stepping up to do these things personally, because we are at the end of this, and the money is budgeted for it. Nobody came out after the money, and to me, fortunately, some council members stepped up and said, we got money in here, these are some things we'd like to do, and they picked up the ball and out this one, I'm happy with that.
Well, that's one of the reasons I made the suggestion of making the picnic thing on the last item. After the communities had a chance at it first.
Okay. I think everybody's, thank everybody, and I appreciate it, I'm good with all that too. And the only thing I'd like to add to it is the emergency services guy. We've had years where our emergency services have really been down. In fact, they thought they were out.
Yeah.
And here they really stepped up. They get there quick. They're on top of it. People are showing up. And I think we got an emergency services crew that we can really be proud of. And I think that's going to be reflective of a lot of things going on in the city. Because again, I believe we got a council, total council that is really committed to what's going on in our city, including you, Brenda, because you stay on top of. There's a lot of things that you stay on top of, and you may feel like, well, you may feel like you're this, and I think everybody in here takes on programs that some people would go, well, what are you doing that for? But it's every one of them is very important. That's why I feel good about this council, because everybody has something that they take on that maybe not everybody is on board with, but they believe in it, and they take it on. So I feel really good about the council, and I know you got a good, I've been around the staff long enough, you really do have a great staff here. But I think we got a really good council going on here though too. So I think Cascade Law's got a lot of good things looking to look forward to in the future of the type of council that we've got in here. So I don't know who's gonna run, but I'm not. I'm not, but I would say the council would I would hope this council would, people on council are gonna continue to run. We really do have a good council.
You didn't run last time either.
Oh,
You were dragged.
Yeah. Well, I've enjoyed it, I've been on council where it's been really, it has been really tough. I mean, it's been tough, and I felt like there were times we weren't getting anywhere, but I feel, I feel really good with this council, yeah. So I would hope they put all run again. Anyway, again, thanks for emergency services, let those guys know, yeah. And just as the council does, password onto your staff too. How it can be, because every time I'm on here, this council is very good about thanking about thanking the staff. So hopefully you're passing that
Oh, yes.
on to them. Very good. That's it for me. Other matters? Yeah.
I forgot to ask a question. There's a debate going on Facebook on the speed limit on Forest Lane. Did it used to be different or has it always been that speed?
As long as I've been here, it's been 35.
It's been 35 as long as I've been here too.
Don't ask me.
Well, I've been here-
When I was a kid, we went way too fast.
I was gonna say.
I used to work at a lumber mill, and it was about,
So-
when you got out the mill out there was 100 people, 100 cars leaving that place. Oh, man, they flew down.
I remember, if you guys remember back a few years, so I probably got a little bit of PTSD when the car flew through my neighbor's yard, flew through my yard, went through the tree, through the apartment complex yard, and landed in the house across the street, missing the little kid by a foot.
Wow.
That's the stuff that happens whenever you're speeding down Forest Lane, and that's happening every day, and it only takes a mere looking at your phone or not paying attention, a kid running after a ball or anything can happen. And that's why the speed limit's incredible down there, because they're not going 35, that's not the problem. We're going 50.
Can we lower it?
There is a process for lowering it, but they generally will pay. They will set the speed limit at what 85% of the traffic is doing, which means
Even in a residential.
even in a residential.
If you're driving fast, they're gonna 70.
It's an arterial.
All right.
I'll be glad when we get the little sign, and then that way you can take a picture of it with the thing, and then.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, it doesn't take a picture.
No, it doesn't take pictures.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a picture. You're just gonna sign.
Well,
No, a picture, I can take a picture if I'm in my yard.
Oh.
That shows how fast they're going, and so maybe guessing, oh, they're going 50.
Yeah, what the other thing we learned at Small Cities meeting is Portland has the photo, Portland and Sherwood have the option to set up speed cameras and issue tickets based on speed cameras. This LOC is trying to expand that so it can be used statewide. And if that's the case, then we investigate the opportunity for the customers. I know where that is in Sherwood. And I called the city manager, I said, hey, I just sent you $168, I hope you're happy. So,
Authority for that's granted by the state.
yeah, it's authority granted by the state, which it's currently not granted.
My new car tells me when there's a camera coming up. Oh, it's cheating.
So you
Nice.
want one of the speed signs by our house so you can actually see the speed light up?
I would love it. That way I can monitor stuff.
But
But the argument was in the beginning that we didn't want them because the batteries would get stolen. So I would think we'd want to mount them in secure places that someone's kind of can at least keep a little bit of an eye on.
So, but the one that we're looking at for you is gonna be eastbound in front of your area or close to you. Because it doesn't make sense to put the westbound in front of you, it's too late. It's gotta be down back.
No, eastbound, they're just turning on the street. They're barely going.
Yes, and that's what you need to tell them this is what the speed limit is.
No, you want to show them how fast they're going when they're flying.
But then it doesn't make any sense to put it across the street from you.
The westbound one you do, it
But
does,
the
not
westbound-
across the street, but on the same side as
If I
me.
do westbound in front of you, then it does, it's too late. I mean, they've already
Yeah.
traveled the whole lane of,
But they're not gonna be going that fast if it's down by the ballpark or if you put it eastbound right here as you turn on the Forest Lane, there's not enough time for them to gather enough speed.
we don't want them to.
I know, but we want them to be aware that, because they're doing it anyway, you're not stopping.
Anyway, we haven't done it. Anyway, they're coming.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Do we need a motion to adjourn or we're done?
Yeah. we need one.
Motion to adjourn.
He
A second.
adjourn it if you want.
Yeah, I'll let her say it.
I'll adjourn
Okay.
it. Gordon said I could do
Gordon said.
that.